Hey Rebel Rouser, I'm Alan Voivod, and this is Star Wars 7x7, and this is it. 4 years to the day that Star Wars 7x7 went live on iTunes, July 7th, 2014. I couldn't pass up that 7/7/14 situation, right? I mean, when you have that kind of opportunity, you got to take advantage of it. So I was able to successfully take advantage of it, and here we go. And yet, this is going to be kind of a mellow situation as far as celebrating the 4th anniversary, because 7/7/2018 also happens to be the day that both Quizmaster Joe and Scorekeeper Declan get back from having been away for 2 weeks at a boys' camp, at an overnight camp for the summer. And so I haven't seen them in 2 weeks, and it's crazy. They've never been gone for, well, Joey has, actually. He's done it before, but Declan has never been gone this long. And so I miss them like crazy. And tomorrow, really, I'm kind of all about being able to spend time with them and find out how things went. So yeah, they're two guys that have not been heard often enough on Star Wars 7x7. We haven't done the trivia challenges in a while, and so that's something that I'm committed to getting done in year 5, is getting more of those trivia challenges here and getting them back on the podcast. And while we're talking about the Star Wars 7x7 family, I have to give props to Brainstormer Lonnie, who is my wife and my business partner. You've only heard her once or twice on the podcast. Star Wars, not necessarily her passion the same way, but I tell you, some of the best ideas that have ever been put out there about the podcast and about what to do with it have come from her. And so this is a great time for me to say, again, always, thank you, Brainstormer Lonnie, for being my partner in life, my partner in business, my partner in everything. You are my light and my inspiration, and I love you very much. And really, all I want to do with this episode is just express a ton of gratitude. Star Wars 7x7 has been downloaded in more than 140 countries since it went live on 6 continents. Still holding out for Antarctica. I know somebody's going to listen to it there one of these days. It's going to happen. And the show's been recorded in 4 different countries on 2 continents and in, I think, 9 states here in the US now, and definitely will hit a 10th when we get to Star Wars Celebration in Chicago in 2019. Who knows? There might be a couple of states that happen in between now and then. We'll see. And I'd like to take a moment to say thanks to some of the fine folks that you will have heard in our sponsor spot on Star Wars 7x7, which includes Nissan, Zebra Imaging, Voodoo, Audible, Constant Contact, 1&1, Entertainment Earth, ThinkGeek, NatureBox, Crash Plan, Fandango, and Podcaster's Paradise. And they have helped keep the lights on here at Star Wars 7x7. And additionally, helping keep the lights on here at Star Wars 7x7 are the patrons of the podcast. If you're not familiar with patronage for the podcast, then check out patreon.com. That's patreon.com/SW7x7. And you can learn more about becoming a patron and supporting the podcast there. There are literally dozens upon dozens upon dozens of people who have supported the podcast over the years. Some of them have stayed with it for rather a long time. Some of them have come and gone. Every single person I am deeply grateful to for stepping up and putting something in the tip jar, whether for a couple of months or a couple of years. That sort of support is so encouraging and so vital and necessary to creative people, whether it's me or to anybody else who is going out on a limb and doing what they can to bring additional joy into this world. And so here right now are the awesome patrons of Star Wars 7x7. Yeah, glasses have to go on for this one because that changed in the 4 years that I've been doing this. So here we go. An R.A., otherwise comparatively anonymous, Ann Art Hildering, Jonathan Atchley, Morton Bay, Bill Beinitz, Andreas Binzenhofer, Rich Bonomo, Alistair Bruce, Fred Butler, Kevin Kane, Alex Chelberg, Tony Comstock, Jason Cooper, John Capella, Mike Cowan, Daniel Dye, Jamie Eastman, Diane and Jim Feely, Katie Folks, John Frost, Gaymanette, that's her handle, Judah Goldstein, Bobby Gordon, Jared Gorman, Doug Howard, Peter Janeling, Matt Cobber, Dennis Keithley, Andrew Keene, Lee Kemp, Doug Kenyon, Cindy Kibbe, Nathan Lancy, Robbie Latham, Kate LeMay, Tim McMahon, Joe Maraglia, Cedric Mitchell, William Pollock, James Prest, Doug Reed, Kevin Scarrett, Tony Sturgeon, David Vanderhoof, Bradley W. Hall, Jeff Wixon, R. Young, and Hendrik Zimmett. Yeah, I guess I should have put Bradley up in the hall. Sorry about that, Bradley. Anyway, that would be our list of current patrons supporting the podcast. You can join that roster of fine folks at patreon.com/SW7x7. Now, I mentioned at the top that there were people in the Star Wars 7x7 family, and there's sort of an extended family, if you will, of additional support. And you heard one of these names already, but he is also more deeply involved with the podcast, and that would be Kevin Scarrett, who is the gentleman behind the branding of Star Wars 7x7. And when we were getting Star Wars 7x7 prepped and ready for launch, he's the gentleman who helped with the website creation, who designed the logo for Star Wars 7x7, and a lot of our initial graphics. He also designed the cover for the unofficial Star Wars The Force Awakens trivia book. A lot of the look and feel for Star Wars 7x7 could not have been done and could not have gone forward without his incredible design sensibility and talent. You can check him out at flockmarketing.com. That's flock like the birds, FLOCK marketing.com. And then well, here's the thing. There's not exactly an official quote-unquote board of advisors for Star Wars 7x7, but there are times when I've turned to some folks for advice about the podcast or who have provided timely advice and insight. And so those people I would consider to be part of an unofficial board of advisors, if you will, even if it just exists in my own head. Of course, Brainstormer Lonnie would appear at the top of that list, but I would also have to include Fred Butler, Jim Feely, Bobby Gordon, Doug Howard, Dennis Keithley, Tim McMahon, and Bobby Roberts on that list. This has been such an unexpected ride over the past 4 years. I could not have imagined where doing a daily Star Wars podcast would take me. And, you know, even when I submitted the podcast for consideration to be added in the community section of StarWars.com, when Matt Martin got back to me and said, I can't even imagine how you're going to have enough to do in a daily podcast. You know, if you had said to me at that point, you know, 4 years from now, you're going to have 1,400 plus daily episodes and still be going strong, I might have said you were crazy then, even though that was the intent all along. But here we are, more than 1,400 episodes into this thing, 1,500 coming up next month. Technically speaking, we already did 1,500 episodes because of all the bonus episodes, but, you know, not numbered episodes. That's a whole other thing. Whether it's 1,500 episodes or 15 or 15,000, none of this is possible. None of this is worthwhile without you listening to this or watching it, however you're consuming Star Wars 7x7. Without you, what's the point? Really, what is the point? It's so awesome and incredible to know that so many people are interested in receiving a daily bite-sized dose of Star Wars joy in their lives that makes this podcast possible. So thank you so much for continuing to listen in, whether you're listening in daily, whether you're saving up a week's worth of episodes and binging them all at once, however you are consuming Star Wars 7x7. I'm so grateful that you do. And I'm going to wrap it up right here and call it an episode. So that's the end of year 4 of Star Wars 7x7. Year 5 starts tomorrow. Actually, I guess year 5 starts today, technically. But I'm going to go celebrate with Brainstormer Lonnie and Quizmaster Joe and Scorekeeper Declan. Honestly, it is the sweetest way to celebrate an anniversary, to be able to get back with the 4 of us together and be able to spend some good quality time together. So I'm really looking forward to that. I hope that you have a wonderful day wherever you are and that you get to spend as much time with your loved ones as you want. And it just remains for me to say thank you so much for listening and watching, and may the Force be with you wherever in the world you may be.